Hey friends!
Hello!
Well, we are off on our adventure. We are in Blue Mounds.
Yeah, although the rock is a red quartzite.
Yeah, Blue Mounds State Park. Named Blue Mounds, we're not quite sure why.
We can just call it Red Mounds for now.
Supposedly we'll find some buffalo here, some bison.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what kind of plants are in this area too. It's a very different environment.
I think things are just going to keep changing the more we head out west.
It's exciting.
So on this adventure video, and I don't know if this is going to be one or a couple, but we're going to share some of the places that we go with you. We're going to share plants, of course, that we find, especially edibles. I don't know.
I have to figure out what bird that is.
Edibles. There's mulberries in my hand right now.
There's going to be a lot of nature that we're not familiar with, and we will be maybe asking you questions along the way.
Anybody knows what that bird is if you can hear it?
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty. Mulberries. Are they good?
Oh, they're so sweet.
Ground cherry, we know this one, but no cherries yet. Mirabelle found more mulberries up here, so she's leading me. Gosh, this is an old interpretive center. Abandoned, apparently. I don't know if that's because of COVID or just old. But yeah, kind of creepy cool.
Yeah.
Woo! These look good. The old interpretive center inside there. Just now it's a home for these guys. Rebecca found prickly pear right here in Minnesota.
Here's another one right here.
Really?
It's so cute.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Doesn't it spiky?
Is it spiky? Yeah, scouring rush all over. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Oh, they smell kind of like those really yummy, you know what they're called? Not gladiators, the...
Gladiola?
No, not gladiolas. The ones that I thought were gladiolas.
Peonies?
No.
Guys, our friend Daniel, I think he told me we can eat the petals of these, if I remember correctly.
You're so
You guys want to try a petal?
Yeah.
Okay, take a little bite. What do you think?
What's it taste like?
Nothing.
Nothing? You want to try some? You like it?
Wild.
It's really mistlike.
It reminds me of, the texture reminds me of
Mmm,
an artichoke leaf. The
that's a
little
nice
ones.
texture.
Mm-hmm. But the flavor is just really pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
I think I see you go
Becca thinks, you think this is lead plant, huh?
Well, I don't know.
It may be.
I don't know my prairie plants as well as I know some of the...
Yeah, we're kind of a woodland plant people, but lead plant, I'm not sure. We're kind of hoping to see some bison here because there is a herd. Well, we have to get to the top of this rock, don't we, Mirabelle?
Yep.
All right.
Here goes nothing. Come on.
What do you see? Any bison? You do? Oh my gosh. You see the bison? There they are. Okay.
A mulberry bush. Perfect.
Mulberries everywhere. I don't know if you guys can see them. They're pretty far out there.
Okay, so face this
That's
way,
really pretty.
and then get a foot right there.
Hey, Millie, you're making it to the top. Climb.
There you go.
Whoa, too high. Oh, I missed it. Okay. No. Oh, right in my mouth.
Not all the way around.
Perfect. You got this.
Different route.
Just hand me one by one.
Just hand them up here one by one. I'll keep them safe for you. There are some little handhold ledges up here, right? Yeah.
Nice.
Wow, Mirabelle. You want a hand? More? Oh my gosh. It's easy, so.
You haven't had mulberries. They're like blackberries, kind of, but
They don't taste like
sweeter.
blackberries.
No, they don't taste like blackberries.
But that's what they look like. You can trick somebody. Here's some blackberries.
Whoa. They're so good, aren't they?
That's not for you.
Check this out. Mirabelle. What is that? And you say it's hard when you touch it?
I don't really want to touch it again.
Can you
I'm not
touch
a
it
fan
again?
of plant diseases, but
I don't think it's a plant
it's hard.
disease.
Yeah. What is it? Eggs.
Wow, it's super shiny, isn't it? If anybody knows what this is, let us know.
Oh yes, please. It's on a mulberry. But it might go on other things too.
Found, well, what are these, Liliana?
Basswood flowers?
Basswood flowers. Yeah, some of our favorites from back home. What do you think? Have you had this before? I don't know if you've had it. It's something that I've eaten a lot. And of course, the basswood leaves is what I was saying are our favorite. One of our favorites, and especially our friend Brett. But what do you think of these?
Good.
Pretty good? The Badlands were marvelous and a completely new environment for the girls. We stayed at a place where people can camp freely along the cliff edges, but soon after we arrived, a storm started to roll in. We were excited to play, so we mostly just ignored the storm and explored our environment. Look at that.
What is that?
That's an old layer of rock, I guess.
And Daddy, look it over there. I swear that one up.
Some kind of milkweed. Look at that thing. That's beautiful.
Oh, it's soft. It's almost like really silky, soft horsehair.
Horsehair.
I find some way to relate everything to horses.
As evening came, the storm intensified, and the campers around us started to see their shelters compromised. That black thing there, that is a tent that just got flattened by the wind. Still, we were more intent on the beauty of the storm, things like this rainbow or these mammatus clouds. It rained hard for a little while, and then it let off, and the storm curled around us until night fell, and we heard these coyotes howling. Now, what happened that night is that the storm came in really hard. Now, I have a curse on me that if I stay out without a tent or other kind of shelter, it invariably rains. Now, this curse was worse in my youth than it is now, but it's still there to some extent. And if you've read Chasing Turkeys, you know how this dialogue goes. Rebecca said, we better put up the tent. So we set up the tent. Now, as we did so, Mirabelle and I decided we're going to sleep out under the stars. And thus, the curse was brought upon us. The winds became so intense that our tent started to blow over, bending the poles. We eventually had to take the tent down and just all sleep under the stars. Now, it didn't rain, it was just high winds. This was after, earlier, there had been some intense rains, but at this point, only the winds. By the time morning came and we were ready to head over to the Black Hills, we were doing so with a wounded tent and with, well, spirits a little dampened from our sleepless night. Still, we all agreed that this is what adventures are made out of, and that has now become the night that we remember most from our adventures.
Wow.
Oh, my friends, wow. So,
Good morning.
good morning. So we got off to a super early start, and it's kind of a secret we've discovered about the Badlands, because we slept in the Badlands, and then the wind woke us up because we weren't in a tent, right?
So it was...
Yeah, our blankets were blowing away.
Yeah, we were outside. We
And
took
then-
the tent down because it was too windy for the tent.
Rain came in.
So
Yeah.
We were in our car and headed into the interior about 5 in the morning. But no people.
it's beautiful.
Just the buffalo and the
Yeah, we saw
sheep.
bighorn sheep and a buffalo. It was super close. It was really awesome.
So the whole park is ours.
Yep, we're gonna go
Let's
exploring.
explore.
And it's usually, this time of the year, 90 degrees and unbearable, maybe 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
But guess what? I don't know.
Today, we've just been blessed with
How
super cool.
Rain, I'm wearing a hat.
It's really nice. Let's explore.
I have not played.
Look at this.
There.
Lamb's quarters? Could it be? It would be a super succulent variety, but it has the same little
Should I try some?
bloom on the bottom. Let's see if it tastes right. You want me to try it first?
I mean,
Let's see if it tastes like it.
It wipes off. That's so cool. I'm gonna go by that bowl too.
Tastes like it.
Where are all those little?
We just came out of this wash. We're trying to get to these hills over here, but there's another section of wash between us. This is really fun.
We got this, troops.
We have to navigate our way through. Well, we're in the labyrinth. Just winds around and around with all sorts of side turns. But we're getting closer. Mini Badlands.
Mini Badlands! There's all sorts of them. There's one right here too. Mini
Where?
Badlands.
Oh, they're all over there.
Wow.
Here's another
And
one.
we've made it. Right up there. I want to show you guys something beautiful here. This is our drone footage. Put your hand in there, Maribel.
This is the Mini Badlands.
Wow, juniper,
No, you know that that's the air ticket a picture of right now?
huge boulders. So cool.
The Badlands.
animal do you think
Look
it
at
is?
this, we found a skull.
We can show one of the.
There's the eye, there's the teeth.
really?
Yeah. Now, as I mentioned, in the Badlands, our tent was wounded on that blustery night. So when we got to the Black Hills, all of the poles had a slight bend to them. It wasn't terrible, except for one of the main poles had a slightly bigger bend in it. I tried to bend it back a little bit. Well, that was a mistake because it snapped. Here's how we rigged it up. We created a splint with a couple of pieces of wood that we carved. And then in here, on the inside between the wood, we put some tent stakes, then wrapped it all in medical tape that I keep in my pack. Now, a cool thing about this was that when it snapped, the old me would have been, what are we gonna do? This is horrible. But that is where mindfulness pays off. And it was cool to see that Rebecca and I are far enough down our mindfulness journey that we didn't see that as a tragedy or a terrible thing, but just as another adventure. Hey friends, well, we have a ribbon in Wyoming. So we are at my cousin's, I was going to say her ranch, but she and her husband are the head wranglers out here. And this is, well, as you can see, look around, this is really beautiful country out here. And they live a life of adventure. They get to take people out and show them this wilderness on horseback for multiple night stays. Every night, my cousin takes all the horses out because the horses just are out on the range. No, I don't have a drone. This is my other cousin, Brett. He's a photographer and is awesome with the drone. Check out his Instagram in the description of this video. And then every morning she goes out and rounds them up and brings them back so they can all have some adventures during the day. That's my cousin. Very romantic place here. Some morning love. Things a little bit behind Wisconsin here. I'm gonna have some spruce tip tea. Look at those. Ours are, of course, long past. We headed out for a ride through the mountains. Boy, it was beautiful. But we also got a surprise. Here, check out these wolf tracks. But that wasn't the surprise. The surprise is that Rebecca had a little horse accident. No, she did not fall off. Her horse fell. Due to quick reaction, she pulled her leg out and escaped with only some bruises, got right back up on the horse. It was a great example for the younger riders who had never seen somebody fall before and were afraid of the whole idea of falling off a horse. But Rebecca showed that it doesn't have to be that big of a deal. Then my cousin gave Mirabelle a riding lesson. This is my cousin Lisa, and I thought it might be fun for people to hear about. All right, so we live in this world that says you should do the conventional thing. You should, get a job that's sensible and safe and secure and put how much you're going to earn above, what you're passionate about. And I feel like you and Aaron somehow you've got both here. You've gone after your dreams from the beginning, and you've been out in the woods for how many years? Back with the Forest Service.
Yeah, so probably 15 or 20 years at this point. I've pretty much my whole adult life. When I went to college, I knew I wanted to be in outdoor recreation. My path, I thought, was going to be being a camp director for like a youth overnight camp. However, things changed, and I realized I really wanted to be in the wilderness, and so I followed my passion and joined the Forest Service. I thought I was going to see our country via our national forests. However, my first assignment was in Jackson Hole, which is where I thought maybe someday I'd be so lucky to retire. But I was here, and so I've stayed, and I met Aaron, and we've transitioned from the forest into outfitting. So now we're taking guests out on trail rides and pack trips, and running a barn with a great crew of folks who, what you were talking about following your passion, following your dream. I've had a lot of folks come work for me who they were in corporate America for a while because they were following what they thought was the right path for them. They wanted to go make a lot of money. They thought that was the expectation their parents had for them. And then they came out here just for a summer to try a fun time. And then they realized that, wait, you can make a living doing this and you can love what you do. And we're not going to be millionaires, but we're still contributing to society. We're educating people, and we're having a good time doing it. So it's kind of, like you're saying, the best of both worlds.
I wish that was more, I wish that message was given out more, because there's opportunities out there that you're not going to think of just going to school or hearing what you're not cutting people's parents, but,
Right.
but a lot of parents are saying, there's going to be this safe way to go. Talking about safety, just real quick, because I often hear when people are going out west, you can't go into these mountains without packing your Uzi here and your bazooka here, because you're going to get eaten by a bear.
Right.
And you've been out living, working with the bears for, as you said, years and years and years.
Yeah.
And I don't see a bazooka or no sidearm here.
No.
Well, you got a Leatherman or something.
Yeah, that's not going to do much if I were to have a negative encounter. But, I live in a place where we have apex predators, and they definitely demand our respect. But fear it's a funny thing. It's not, I don't know what purpose it serves. Maybe a little bit of survival, but really having that healthy respect is way more important. I recognize that I'm not on the menu of a bear or a wolf or a mountain lion traditionally. There are cases, of course. I'm not saying that it never happens. However, what I do, I travel out in the backcountry. I'm with horses, and they're a big deterrent for a lot of the wildlife. But even if you're hiking by yourself, it's best to be in big groups when you're hiking in bear country. But, making noise and not surprising these critters, they're gonna move away. It's not like they're out to get us, even though that's maybe what, again, one of those stories that society feeds us, that, these things are big and strong and they're something to be afraid of. I think really a lot of it is a misunderstanding. They're not well known about, and it seems like the people who are most fearful are probably the least educated on the subject. And as they learn the behaviors of this wildlife out here and these apex predators, they realize that, maybe they're not so bad. And I feel like that's a good parallel for a lot of things in our society, that when we have a ingrained fear, we should really kind of question it. Where does it come from? Who's told us to be afraid of it? Why are we afraid of it? And, can we do anything to overcome that fear? Can we educate ourselves on the subject a little better?
Education.
Yeah.
That makes such a huge difference. Yeah. Really easy to fear it when you don't know about it.
Yeah. And I think curiosity goes a long way. It's like your girls. I mean, they're wildly curious about everything. And, it's so fun because half the time they ask me questions. I'm like, ooh, I don't know the answer to that. Let's look that up. But yeah, just when I have that sense of fear, I try to be aware of it and then get curious about it. Where does it come from? Why am I afraid? And what what steps can I take to overcome that fear? So.
One more inspiration for me. I don't know, Izzy, will you come over here? Izzy. So, Izzy lived her whole life with your mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And was an urban dog?
Suburban, yeah.
Suburban?
Yep.
And then we lost your mom recently, and Izzy came out here. Total life change.
Yeah.
She's out. I see her wrangling the horses, running right between the hooves, and did she? I mean,
yeah. Well, the story with Izzy, it goes back actually before Mom died. When Mom got Izzy, she would always tease that Izzy reminded her of my dog Dusty, which was a border collie I had growing up that Mom had gotten me for my birthday when I was like 12. And she was like, I think Izzy is Dusty reincarnate. And, you know, I didn't really see it because when she was a suburban dog, you know, she liked to stick to the sidewalks and be on leash and wasn't necessarily the best behaved dog I've ever encountered, which in my eyes, Dusty was perfect. So I didn't really see the correlation, but there's some color similarities and such. And then I would tease my mom and say, hey, if Izzy ever gets to be too much for you to handle, send her out to Wyoming and I'll take care of her. I'll whip her into shape for you. And so when Mom, you know, suddenly passed away, I knew that Izzy had to come with me, just as, you know, that was kind of Mom and I's joke. And I didn't know how it was going to go. And I did kind of wonder, would she get eaten by bears like Mom predicted? Even though she's not on the menu either, traditionally. And, you know, it was not long after Mom died that Brett and I were taking her for a walk in Minneapolis, and there was some dew on the grass. It was a June evening, and again, she would not go in the grass and go in the side. She wanted to stay on the sidewalk, didn't want to get wet. But she made quite a transition. She came out here. She's part Australian Shepherd, so I think there's some natural instinct to herd the horses. And then she's got my other two dogs as role models, which is another, she sees a bird, yeah. Which is, I think, another great theme of, you know, in parallel of it's important to have good role models and realize that just because society says it needs to be one way, you know, if you know people who are doing things a little outside of the box or outside of the norms, you know, surround yourself with those people and realize it's okay to just kind of, try something totally different. That was a tangent though, but yeah, so she transitioned into a little ranch wilderness dog. You can see she's full of mud now and has no problem. She has no problem going through the tall, wet grass anymore. She swims rivers and and I think it gives a nod to adaptability. You know, this dog is really adaptable, but we as humans are very adaptable also. And, you know, try something new, push yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit. And who knows, you might be living your best life afterward.
Wow. Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you, Ken. Love you too.
Oh,
thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
We found snow. We found middle of summer. We found snow up in the mountains. Are you excited?
Yeah.
You look cold. Is that what you wanted to be?
Yeah.
So my friends, that's it. That was our adventure. Lots of memories we're going to remember for our whole lives. And thank you for being part of the journey with us. Tell us what amazing adventures you've had either recently or just one of the most memorable adventures you've had in your life. Love you all so much and cannot wait to talk with you in the comments.
Pilgrims should start teaching Griffin a few